Welcome to the Image Critique Show with Jeff Johnson, Rick Avalos, and their special guest. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Well, welcome everyone. It's good to have you with us. We've got several participants and more coming on tonight for this edition of the Image Critique Show. We're really happy to have with us tonight our guest, Cliff Lawson. And of course, Jeff and I are going to be putting our 2 cents worth in as well. We've got some wonderful images that we want to visit with you about, and we so appreciate your participation in this program and this show. Feel comfortable, please, to send in your questions. Cliff will relay them to us, and we'll be looking forward to evaluating your images and giving you our perspectives on them. This is always a really great situation, in my opinion, because more than just one person's individual thoughts, you're getting opinions from 3 different people who have Geniuses. Been around the block, I guess, is the if you don't mind me saying that. But we want to invite all of you to continue visiting our show, and I'd like to thank Cliff for sitting in with us tonight. And Cliff, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and projects that you have coming up, and a little bit of your background.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I retired. I can't believe it. I retired 20 years ago, which is
Wow.
hard to believe. But I took up photography when I was in college, and I kept at it as a hobby all those years. But then after I retired, my wife thought it was a good idea if I found something to do. So I got a little bit more serious with my photography, and I actually turned professional, started doing work for money back about 16, 17 years ago. And I joined the PPC and the PPA right about that time. And I found that my real passion was with people. I've done the landscapes and, cityscapes and that stuff, but I found out that portraits was really where my heart was. And that's really what I did: high school seniors, families, that type of thing. And as many of you know, for the last 6 years now, I've had a project with the military veterans that I've been doing. So far, I've done about, I think I counted the other day, I've done 162 so far. Veterans.
Wow, that's great.
So,
Yeah.
It's free to them, and they get 2 11x14 prints. And yeah, it's very rewarding, especially when I get notes from the kids and and their spouses that really appreciate it. So yeah, that's kind of my thing.
Cliffy, that's what's so rewarding about what we do, in that it satisfies our side of it in terms of creating a portrait that we feel says something. But gosh, when it comes to the other side and who we're delivering it to, it means so much more to them, to their families, and to their children. And it's a legacy image that they would leave to their families. So I applaud you for that. And you're being a little bit too humble, because you are yourself are a veteran, and we certainly appreciate your service. And tell us about your pilot career as well.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure where I picked it up, but I was interested in airplanes since I was a little kid. And fortunately, when I was in high school, I got a job gassing airplanes at a local little grass strip airport, and took flying lessons there. I used the money I made gassing airplanes to pay for flying lessons. And so by the time I went into the Army, in fact, I had 600 hours of flight time, my multi-engine rating, flight instructor rating, my commercial ticket. And then I flew in the Army for 3 years, and then the Guard for a while after that. And then I had a 34-year career with United, and it was a great career. But the thing is, and you're right about what you're giving back with what we do for our portraits. The airline career was great. I made a lot of money. It's fun. It's a terrific career. And I guess the only thing what I didn't do, I didn't kill anybody, but what we are leaving people with the portraits. I know when I'm dead and gone, there are hundreds of families around town with high school seniors that have their pictures on the wall that will be there long after I've left this earth. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really,
That's cool.
that's really rewarding.
I
Yeah.
love that perspective. And, I do quite a bit of copy and restoration work, and it's really the same feeling. And I'm with you. I mean, I think that's why we connect so well, because, we're both portrait guys in our hearts. But when I get a piece that a client wants to have restored, and I'm holding that image in my hand, and I'm thinking, man, there's actually a connection between myself and the photographer that created this image 75, 85 years ago, 90 years ago. And it just sends chills up you. But I really appreciate you being on, and we're looking forward to hearing your comments about these images.
Yeah. So when we talk about landscapes, I'm with you. A landscape to me is just a backdrop.
That's what's been funny over the years when Rick and I, or even Cliff, we've gone somewhere. We've gone to a convention to speak and to judge at, and we're driving there, and we'll stop and photograph a barn, and 2 or 3 of us are up lining up the barn with the beautiful light at sunset. And Rick's about 100 paces behind us, photographing each one of us in front of this barn with the beautiful light.
Right.
And a few years ago, Rick asked me how I could provide him with some of my beautiful backgrounds that he could use for his portraits. So,
well, what's funny is I recently put together my pictures from my year in Vietnam.
Oh, did you?
There's a bunch of pictures of airplanes and helicopters and stuff too. But looking back on it, I took a ton of pictures of my trooper mates. I took a lot of pictures of people, and so obviously I was into it way back.
Oh man, yeah. And you're going to put that in a book, you say?
No. It's I put it together.
No, but just for your family. Do it for your family.
Yeah, I did it for I made a slideshow out of it, showed my grandkids, what I did 50 some years ago. But yeah,
wow.
A lot of pictures of just all the other pilots, it's just
yeah.
Hey Rick, it's Joe Glida, right, that did the book of the airplanes?
Yep.
Did I show you that, Cliff? Did we talk about that? So
No.
when we were at Imaging in Nashville, our friend Joe Glida has been working. I forget, where's Joe? North Carolina or something?
Oklahoma.
Like that? Oklahoma. Okay. He has gotten with, and remind me, I'll have to share the book with you. How many old World War I, World War II?
Yeah, vintage aircraft.
Oh wow, really?
But the cool thing about it, he's kind of done almost something like you're doing, is he's gotten with the plane that he was asked to photograph, or he's found who the pilot was, or relatives of the pilot, and done some pictures of them as well. But then he went in and did a little bit, so it's not just a straight photograph, it's kind of a painting type of a look in this book, and it's so well done. It's just
that's really cool. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, remind me next time we're going somewhere at the same time. I'll bring it with me to show you. So anyways, well, very cool. And like Rick said, I have to reiterate this, the portraits that Cliff has been doing of everybody that he's been doing, but the military folks are just stunning work. I mean, it's just a unique take on images. Hopefully a lot of you have seen some of his stuff in competitions, but really, really beautiful, unique pictures. So definitely it's something that we need to really play up. Cliff, do you have a website? Do you have images up somewhere?
Yeah, it's called ColoradoVeteranPortraits.com. So it's veterans is singular, portraits is plural. ColoradoVeteranPortraits.com. And it's not all 160 some. It's probably 50 or maybe 45 or 50 samples.
I just typed it into the chat box for everybody. Check the spelling. Colorado Veteran. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's it. That'll work.
Oh, what's this now? Michael's got a note out here. Cliff also has an upcoming veteran portrait. Oh, yeah, and that's true. We were kind of talking about that before. So, yeah, so tell us about that real quick, what you're going to be doing there on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, on Saturday, the Lone Tree Camera Club has asked me to do an all-day workshop, and it's going to be it's centered around the veteran project in terms of I'm going to show the retouching and how I process them, but it's also a basic to intermediate program on portraits. So we'll start out with, how do you do it with just one light and a reflector, and work it all the way up to, multiple lights and head and hair lights and rim lights, and so it'll be an all day deal.
Nice. Yeah, that's how I like portraiture myself. So I'm really like that style anyhow, but just really impressed with what Cliff's done. You said there's 2 more spots left in the workshop, you said?
Yeah, it's limited to 10. You get more than 10 people, you're tripping over one
Right.
another. So,
Right.
Yeah, if anybody out there is interested in actually doing that workshop, send a message to Cliff and he can tell you.
Well, they can just go to the Lone Tree Camera Club website.
Okay.
Michael can make sure we have the right address, but just go to the website and there's a sign up there, and there are 2 spots left as of an hour ago.
And when is this happening again?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, day after tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, cool.
Very good.
Well, hey, Cliff, thanks for helping us out. Cliff has been helping us out over the first few episodes as being our engineer, if you will, the thing that George Carlin hated, air quotes. So we thank him for that, but we thought we'd bump him up to a guest. We kind of had we had a good friend of ours who's going to be a guest, and we just had some schedules mismatch, and Tony Harriman said she'd be glad to be a judge for us again some other time, but we thought who better to jump in place than somebody sitting around doing nothing. I mean, Cliff. And so thank you, Cliff, for being our guest tonight. So what we're going to do, gang, for those of you, let's see, there's several names who I think are first timers in here. So the idea here is really about, I'll say the word education, fun, obviously, see what other people are doing. But what we're going to do is pull up images. So just in the future, you're welcome to join the broadcast anytime you like. You do not have to submit images. If you want to, it's all on the site. It's $10 for an image if you're a member of either the Colorado Pro Group or the Springs Guild. If not, it's $15, but we certainly ask that you submit some images. So we take the time to just talk about them, and it's not a scoring thing. We're not going to try and do a thing, and we're not trying to identify anybody. If you want to keep anonymous, that's cool. But by all means, we've got the chat box open, and we'll be monitoring it along the way. So if you have questions, and you got a lot of you guys got your mics off, that's fine. But feel free to turn your mic on and just shout out at one of us. Say, hey, I got a question. Actually, what I think we've been doing was typing it in the box, right, Cliff? Isn't that what we preferred? If you have a question, type it in the chat.
Yeah.
And then Cliff
Type
will
it in the chat. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do that.
Please.
$10. Yeah, Janice is asking. It's $10 per image, so per submission. And we kind of limited it to up to 2 each, just because we figure we can talk about 25-ish images in our hour and 40 minutes of time. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to pull up some of our images, and the 3 of us are just going to chat about it. But again, questions, please jump in and ask away. So first of all, is there any questions or comments from the peanut gallery before we get started? Anything you want to know about before we jump into this? Feel free to turn your mic on and holler, or type it in the box, and we'll go from there. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen here. And let's see. Nope, I decided I got to go this way, don't I? Okay.
Somebody's leaning on their keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah, check so you don't have something sitting on your keyboard. Something's clicking like crazy. So, all right. So we're going to start off with this image here. It is called Morning Inspiration. Rick, you want to jump in first, since this is your strong suit, landscapes?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, a couple things about this image that strike me right off the bat in a favorable way is the color harmony of the image. Now, we do have a little color contrast going on, which is nice because of the rust hues, the warm hues of the butte against the sky, which I think was rendered really quite well. The presentation is nice. We visit about this every now and then, about the key lines. It's a nice blue key line, and we see that key line, in the bottom of the photograph. That's very, very visible, and on the side, it's right side, fairly visible, but then on the left side and up in the top left corner, we tend to visibly lose it a little bit, as we do along the top left going across to the right. And obviously, because of the same or similar color value that the key line has with that particular area of the image. So, I think it's either a good idea, a couple of things we could do. We could either change to a different color so that we see that key line all the way around the image, or to separate it from the image. This key line is what I consider an attached key line, where it snaps to, if you will, the image all the way around. And a detached would be a key line that we're separating from the image and allowing a little space all around. So this color would be perfect for that. Excuse me. If we just have a little space between the key line and the image itself. I think the composition is handled well with the butte in the in that bottom left PowerPoint. As I mentioned, we've got a really nice rendition of the sky. So nicely done.
What do you think, Cliff?
I certainly agree with my other portrait photographer there. That was the first thing I noticed too, was the loss of the key line. What I was just looking at was, this is a lovely image. I wonder if you cropped it even tighter, top to bottom. And really stretch out that panorama down there. I'm thinking, take off about half of that sky.
You like bring it through here?
Yeah. The sky's beautiful, but I'm just thinking that really brings more attention to the mountains or to those buttes. I don't know. I'd have to see it, but
yeah, good point. I think a lot of times we go out as land. Okay, no, I'll talk from the landscape photography point of view. We go out there and we look at a landscape, and if it's a plain blue sky with nothing in it, we're kind of bummed. But then we get a beautiful sky like this, and it fights for attention. So my question to myself when I'm out shooting is, okay, what is most important in the scene? What am I trying to capture? Is it more about the buttes in this case, or is it more about the sky? And so again, a composition is going to definitely play into what's better. I think it's very cool. I like this area of the storm here, so I wouldn't crop that out, but like Cliff said, maybe just right above it could be
right in that area. Yeah,
could be good. But look at the beautiful light coming across on this butte here, which really stands out. And then these little guys back here have just enough light so that they support it. So your eye goes from here over to here, back to here, and then back again over to the large butte. So it's just nice movement throughout. I like the placement of the horizon line being kind of down here. It's actually down about on a quarter of the way up. So we do have a lot of room. So you do have to kind of be careful of cutting too much sky off to put that horizon right in the middle, because that can be very stagnant.
Sure. Absolutely. That was going to be my point. Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to be careful of that. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's not wrong compositionally to have your horizon line in the middle, but it does create some vertical and horizontal lines are very strong. So when you cut an image in half, that's what ends up happening. So a lot of times when we have a reflection, when you have a mountain scene with a nice reflection, that horizon might be in the middle. That works pretty well because it's getting you moving back and forth. But just be careful sometimes of putting that horizon line in the middle of your scene from left to right, because it can quickly cut that image in half, and then you've got that kind of thing going on. So, but I think the color harmony in that throughout here is awesome. Yeah, Rick?
Yeah, our eyes always go to the area of highest contrast, and obviously that means a light against the dark. Are you seeing my pen at all?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. We noticed just that little highlight there on that view to the far right. It's a little thing, but it's just one of those things that kind of pulls your attention, and just a real easy fix. We really want to stack the deck as much as we can in our own favor.
And you're saying that just because it stands out by itself so much with the other shadows that are around there. Is
Yeah,
what you're saying, yeah.
It
As
almost looks
opposed to,
like
because it's the
a
same
spotlight on the
brightness.
headlight.
Yeah, it's the same brightness over here in these buttes, but there's more of it. And well, and they stand out, and so it's not just that one little spot over here.
Right, right.
Good stuff. All right. Let's see. Next image. This is called Neck and Neck. Let me clear the pen drawings here. Cliff, you want to start on this one?
Yeah, this is really a very impactful image. Excuse me. But you know what I'm seeing in the horse that's in the foreground there? It looks like the shutter speed is not quite where it should be. It looks a little blurry. And yet all the other ones look sharp as can be. So I'm not. It's just got my eye going to that.
Yeah, you're talking about.
Yeah, right in there. Yeah.
Why didn't it let me? Come on. Hold on. Yeah, that's here. I was trying to draw on it, but it won't let me for some reason. There we go. So this area right in here. Yeah, I do kind of see almost a feeling of a double exposure in like along there.
But the rest of it is spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean that white against that blue sky, and the cowboy, I guess it's cowgirl, is what it looks like, is just really sharp over there. I mean, the impact is really, really great on this image. And I think the presentation is really good with not really a key line, but it looks like a fake mat. Looks really nice.
Yeah, it does look like they have a cutout mat. So it's just a very simple edge. What we're talking about here. A couple things. I meant to say this earlier. Let me just back up and talk about real quick. Those of you who are new to this kind of thing, who haven't entered any kind of PPA or PP Colorado guild kind of a thing, is that the rules require us to present an image in some sort of a mat like this. And you want to have some sort of an edge. It can be like this has the faux cutout like a real mat. You can have just a key line like we were talking about in the last one. So that's kind of what that conversation was about. It's there for support, but you want to make sure it doesn't take over. Sometimes you'll see, like if this color coordinated, if this mat were, whoops, what did I do there? Hang on. If this mat, too many buttons, what happened to my Zoom?
Yeah.
Oh, for crying out loud. All right, so now I'm in Zoom, and now I can't get the thing back. There. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so color coordinated, if this mat were a nice blue of the sky and then maybe a white or a gray lip, that would be very pretty and probably would be great in a gallery or hanging on somebody's living room wall. But we don't want the mat and the lip, whether it's a key line or a faux bevel like this, we don't want those to be so prominent that it pulls the judge's eye. We want it to be very subtle and very supportive. So we'll talk about that quite a bit throughout this show, because it is an important factor in the PPA competition. So if you wonder why why do they keep talking about the mat? That's why, because it's a pretty big deal.
So, you know, another thing on that mat is, if you remember last month, Kevin Holliday talked about making the mats not quite white.
Yes.
And I think this is the case here. It's really well done because it looks like it's just kind of not quite white. So it doesn't compete with the white in the snow caps, in the snow.
And I entered a photograph right after that and did that. It was a black and white, and I took the mat just off of white. And the first comment with the judge was, "It's too bad that mat wasn't just bright white." So it was. My point of telling you this story is that when we do this, there's three of us talking. When we're on a panel, when there's a PPA competition, when there's 5 judges, you're getting 5 opinions. Very well educated, experienced, knowledgeable. So don't think that that's not the case, that we don't know what we're talking about. But it is interesting when it comes to mats. There'll be 5 different opinions. Janice had a question real quick. She's asking if it's over sharpened. I think it's honestly maybe close to that. What do you guys think? I mean, besides the area of the horse you were talking about, but look at the how much detail is in the hair on the other face. Do you think it's maybe almost too over sharpened here?
Yeah, I think it is a touch. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, just a little.
But you know what impressed me about this image is the composition, because you notice from the rider to the horse is a real strong diagonal line. Plus
Yeah.
the fact that, man, you know, I'm sure that a lot of frames were taken, but to have all of these horses' heads visible and sharp like that, other than the body of the horse in the front. But you know, compositionally, I think it's a strong image. But yeah, I would feel that it might be just a little on the oversharpened side.
And Rick, don't you feel like the horses get in the way of the portrait of the rider?
I do indeed. And if those horses weren't there, look at that perfect PowerPoint that the rider is in.
That's right.
Next image. That's too funny. Too funny. All right, let's go to the next image. This is a walk in the aspen. Rick, what's your thoughts?
It's beautiful. We've got a lot of really nice things going on with this image. And you're seeing my marker, correct?
Move it. Yeah.
Okay. You know, we've got a really nice leading line with these aspens. Oops.
Hang on. I don't know why I can't keep. There.
Okay.
Oh, for crying out loud. I don't know what's going on here, guys. I'm sorry. Can you see it now? I'll wait in the other room.
Yeah. Compositionally, it's so strong, as I was mentioning about the diagonal line that's leading into the main subject, as I see it, with the biggest trunk to the far right. You know, really nice cross lighting. There's natural vignetting going on in the image. You know, in the corners, just by the value of the foliage there. I really like the presentation, but I'm going to defer to you guys. Is it just a tad heavy? I think it's very artistic, but and I like this kind of a presentation, but I'm just kind of torn about that. But compositionally, I think it's very, very strong.
It is heavy, but I like it. I think for me, it goes with the image. I like the presentation a lot. I don't think I'd change it.
Okay.
Well, that's what I was kind of wondering is I mean, I think if this were hanging in your living room, it would be awesome because it kind of has that leathery, rough kind of a feel. But I'm just wondering, for competition, it's kind of on the verge, though, don't you think, that maybe it's just a little bit asking for too much attention? I think the color scheme throughout is awesome, but
you know, if you look at some of these images that are in framer shops, and you see a lot of this kind of a genre of matte, and you're right, they're beautiful, and when they hang in the home, that's so much of the presentation and the image. My concern is, you know, again, would it be appreciated to that degree if it was in competition? I think it's a beautiful presentation. I just feel that there's I don't know, just a serenity about the image itself that is just a little bit, for me anyway, just a tad distracting because of the presentation.
Do you think it would be less heavy if you cropped into the matte and leave it just as it is, but maybe show less of the matte?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe smaller matte, you mean? Less?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. That's a beautiful scene. The lighting is handled really well.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point. When I think about it, Cliff, maybe you're right that matte might be a little bit heavy, or just not heavy. Yeah, too much.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Good stuff. Let's go see what else we got here. Let's go with American Laundry. What do you think, Ricky?
I like it. Um,
Oh, okay.
I'm just really appreciating it. Um, I don't know. I kind of am thinking if we were to crop down just a tad, we've got uh, the subject, the red laundry that's hanging down, and it's nearing bullseye composition. And to me, that's pretty much the focal point because of its contrast against the rest of the scene. So I'm just wondering if we were to crop it from the top just a little bit to visually pull that up a little higher, might be beneficial. But just for something that's kind of mundane, but yet presented and photographed in a unique way, I think the kudos to the maker.
So you're thinking the rails of the fence and the light there, maybe you're drawing your attention off to it.
Yeah.
And
What do you think?
I think this mat looks like it was made by the same maker as the previous image. I mean, you talk about a heavy mat. This is really dark. But I think it works because the image is bright, and there's a lot of bright in that image.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's a good point.
But it's pretty heavy though. I don't know about that mat.
Too much on the. Yeah, you're talking about texture or darkness?
Darkness.
Dark. Okay.
Yeah.
But I love the image. It takes a while, like Rick, it takes a while to kind of take in what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. I mean,
you can certainly read the story into it, and that storytelling obviously is one of the elements.
So Janice is asking, are there rules or guidelines about how wide the mat should be for competition? Not really. I don't think I've ever seen anything. It's just probably more of a taste issue. As I was mentioning before, it's a supportive role and it shouldn't take over. Like we're talking about here, it's, again, maybe the mat could be, obviously, like Cliff said, it's a little bit too dark. It could be a little lighter because even as darkness, it's pulling your eye out maybe too much. What do you think of size? Do you think it's too thick still, or you okay with that?
I think the thickness is okay. It's just awfully dark for this particular image, in my opinion.
Okay.
So.
You know what I think about when I look at images that I'm considering to submit are the different elements in the image, and I don't mean the 12 elements, but is this particular part of the image contributing, or is it really distracting or taking away from the image? For instance, if there's something in the image that can easily be taken out, before I do that, is it really adding to the impact, the storytelling of the image? And if not, then take care of it. And I think it goes the same way with the presentation. Is it really helping, or is it hindering the image? Right. That's just a choice that we have to make. And yes, it is a personal and artistic choice, but then, once it's submitted, then it's at the mercy, if you will, of the panel.
Well, that's and how many times, I know we all have these stories. I can think of, I've entered an image in front of one panel and it scored really high, and the next panel it was low, and the next panel was kind of in the middle. That's just kind of the nature of it. So it's just human element in there, but
absolutely.
Okay, cool. Good job. Let's see what we got next here. We have Diabolique. Sorry, I tripped over my tongue there. Well, since this is a portrait, I'll start this time. This is just absolutely, powerful. We talk about the first element of the 12 elements of design that we use to create images with, or as judges we use to score an image, is impact. And man, you talk about impact. This just pulls you right in. You go right to his eyes. They just have very emotional feel here. Compositionally, you've got the eyes, but then you come down and you follow this triangle of his beard, and it's nice, very beautiful lighting on it, very kind of spooky kind of lighting. But you go from the eyes of the beard and back up, you notice the top of his head, his ears, even the nice detail on the very dark shirt, but you still come right back to those eyes. Excellent quality black and white.
Oh,
What's your thoughts? It's not a mountain.
You know, there's a saying, if you go for the king, you better not miss.
Oh, we've lost you, Cliff. Can't hear you.
Really? Let me. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Cliff.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can too.
Okay.
All right. I don't hear anybody. I don't know what's happened here.
Okay. But the actual real people can hear me, right?
Yes, the
Okay.
real people.
So there's a saying, if you go for the king, you better not miss. Well, if you go for this kind of lighting, you better not miss. And that, that so-called monster lighting where you light from the bottom up, you better do it right. And boy, this artist really did it right. The composition with that triangular beard, the light under the iris of the eyes, it's just spectacular. It's a great black and white conversion. I don't have any negative comments to make at all.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
You'll have to do this
Yeah.
or yes or no. You can
Yeah.
hear me? I don't hear
Yeah.
anything. I've totally lost. Hang on, let me look at my. It's always me. Somebody say something.
Something? Can you hear us
Something.
now?
No.
I heard a laugh, but I heard nothing. How weird.
Jeff, it's Mary. Can you hear me?
Evidently not.
Why would that happen? Your microphone. Speaker. Sorry guys, I got nothing here. I can't hear anything.
I think we all are hearing you, right, everybody?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like it, but okay, now I hear you. For some reason it's come back on. I'm so sorry. It was my fault last time. I'm gonna have to move or something. So sorry, Cliff, I didn't hear anything you said about this. Did you say everything you want?
Yeah, I did. I think everybody else heard it. So yeah, we're good.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, that's cool. All right. So let's move on then. So when we get that one. So anyways, beautiful portrait. Very cool. Let's see what else we can do while I can still hear you. This is called I Have Your Back.
We don't see the image though, Jeff.
Oh yeah, you know what? I have to share the screen with you. Took that off because okay. Okay. I have your back. Rick, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I really like this. This is kind of a Tim Walden-ish.
Tim Walden, yeah, you
Yeah.
bet. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it. I like the composition. Again, we talk about this, what I like to call diagonally opposed composition, where we have, let's see, this subject at bottom left and diagonally opposed to I'm gonna guess his.
Why won't it stay open? Oh my God, I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't know why it won't stay open.
Things happen. It's not your fault.
not even
Yes,
touching
it
the
is.
computer.
Yeah, but as I was saying, the strong composition of the diagonally opposed subjects, I think is handled really well. I think in terms of the lighting, I would maybe want to see just a little bit of a heavier ratio and possibly more monodirectional. In other words, coming from strongly from one direction rather than a couple different directions. But still, we have nice separation between from the subjects to the background. But I think it's nicely done. Those would be something. Those things like the lighting would be something that I would focus in on. Lippy.
I think, I mean, I really like it. I'm not sure I like that much difference in the head height. I'd like to see him just a little bit higher there. But that's a tiny point and very much a personal thing. But other than that, yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's a great black and white. It's really a lovely picture.
Yeah, Scott, I think a lot of times you'll get a couple people and you get different expressions, but this definitely stays within tone, the way they're dressed, everything about it is very, very relatable and very, very well done. Yeah, I think that's probably what hit me too, is it maybe the difference in the head height. Just, I don't know, it's saying two individuals here, yet they're a couple. So I don't know, maybe I'm kind of going with that. And I thought of the light pattern, like you talked about, Rick. I first saw that, but I don't know if I object to that. I mean, yeah, I guess if there's rules to say it should be one directional light, but I kind of feel like it kind of goes, I have your back as the title. I don't know. It's kind of different. I think it's very well done. Excellent black and white.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if we can do two in a row without it getting This is called It's All in the Details.
This would be down your alley, Jeff.
So yeah, I think this is I love the macro. Getting right in there. Macro is a lot harder than a lot of people realize. Excuse me. The when you start getting that close, you start getting other things in the scene that tend to take away. But this is little tip of the iceberg here, so to speak, would be the focal point, I think, for at least what I'm seeing. So it draws us a nice, man, the color harmonies are beautiful. We've got some nice soft focus kind of a feel here. And then it pulls up this sharpness back here, kind of pulls those two in. So I think it's done very nicely. The rest of the shapes of the leaves and the rest of the petals of the flower I don't think they need to be sharp throughout and identified. I think we know what it is and where it is, and it's really more of an art piece. I think the only thing that maybe kind of got a lot of good colors going on here, matte size, lip and all that's well done. Maybe the color of the matte could be maybe a little deeper green, just to not, because it's asking for attention. And then what Rick was talking about earlier, the key line, we've lost it right up here. It blends in with the colors of the image. So a different color, but a lot of times when you have a hard time with the key line disappearing, then take it and do the detached, as Rick mentioned. So it's just out from the image, just a little bit. So it's that kind of a feeling. What do you guys think?
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah, man, you said it.
Well, thanks for the support. I appreciate that. But this is one of those images. Can you picture a 40x60 hanging in some office somewhere? I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
What a great art piece there. So
yeah, I mean that would be my only comment. Is it's really lovely. I mean, exactly what you said. But I'm not schooled well enough in macro, that type of thing, to make intelligent comments. Except, wow, it's really pretty.
That's pretty intelligent. The maker would think that was intelligent.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Let's see. Clear that stuff. Try one more here. We have Kicking up dust. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
That's nice. What do you think, Cliff?
Oh, this has great impact. The S line of the horses,
Yep.
they were really choreographed well for that. It's and the color is just wonderful. The background is almost monochromatic, and yet then you got all those horses in there. The dust kind of frames the horses. And there's enough room left over at the left side that you're not having that lead horse butt up against the edge of the image. You got some room for him to run into it. Yeah, I think, and this is a nice looking rock. Oh, there we go. This is, here's the case of the detached key line, which I think works. This is a good mat. I think the mat is good for this. I think it works really well.
Yeah, it's supportive, but it doesn't take away.
But it doesn't draw you away.
Yeah.
I think it's a great image.
Yeah, you hit it, Cliff. In my opinion, the strength is in the composition with the S line, S curve going through it. I mean, that just has so much impact with this image. And then for me, the color harmony of the whole image just really is impactful. Just real simple presentation, but supportive. Well done.
Yeah, I agree with all the things you said. The impact, the story is there, the color harmony being that very soft tones, the horses stand out greatly from the background, the S curve of the motion coming through the scene is awesome. What do you guys think about this tree back here? Do you think that's
yes.
Would you have removed that if it was your image?
I think if the file allows, which I would bet it does, either take it out or add
or show more of it.
Let us see the top of it, because that's one of those tangent points that can draw attention. And I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And I kind of also, there's two horses up in the right corner too that I know it's about horses and such, but those two guys there, they're just off enough that it pulls your eye up there. I think unnecessarily, I maybe would have gotten rid of those two little guys and maybe even this tree back here. But yeah, I think just dealing with this tree just a little differently, because what happens is it pulls your eye. Anytime you have something that is along the edge of an image, it'll direct attention. Good, bad, or indifferent, you'll have to decide that. But I think what it's doing is pulling our eye up there away from the horses unnecessarily. It's not adding it. So now if the whole tree was there, I don't think it would be that obvious.
Right.
But nicely done. I just love the whole feel of this, and the very soft hues is beautiful. Kicking up dusk. All right, let's see what we got next here. This is called King. Wow. Talk about up close and personal. Impact, definitely impact. The other thing that we always talk about, sorry, Rick, I'll take this. It's your story. The lasting and fleeting impact. No, but when we talk about impact, obviously it's the first on the list of the elements of design for that reason, because when the image comes up for the first time, how do you react to it? How do you relate to it? And it kind of can work in a couple different ways. If it's a very powerful, well composed, and all the other elements go along with that, impact is lasting. You'll keep looking at it, you'll keep coming back to it and not being able to pull your eyes away. Otherwise, there's fleeting impact, which means initially you could go, wow, look at that. But then for whatever reasons, now this to me has very lasting, because I keep looking back at it and back to the camera and coming back to it. This is just, come here, look at me. Now, obviously, we've got this very powerful animal here, and we know what they can do to us if we don't pay attention. But having said that, man, how strong. It is sharp throughout. It's got great detail. I mean, we get a little, obviously, the black in the nasal areas there. That's fine. You don't need to have detail everywhere like that. Color harmony, it's just very, almost monochrome, but so well done. What do you think, Cliff?
Oh yeah, I mean, you've said it. I just keep looking at this thing. I can't take my eyes off it. But the crop, therefore the composition is, you got the eyes up there kind of at the upper third. It's a spectacular image. I really love it.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
and
yeah,
this
nice
is a case
third.
too of you've got the detached key line, and I think the color of the matte is perfect for this image.
Rick, thoughts?
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add. You guys nailed it as far as the eyes and the mouth being on the thirds, because that was a point that I was considering to make. But thanks a lot. You jumped.
All right. Well, let me pose this question to you. So close as it is, very strong. Do you think, because it's just, and not that this matters, I'm not trying to make a point that it's not right, but I'm asking you guys thoughts. It's just a little bit off center left. Does that bother you? Would you think it would be more powerful if something this close and powerful that needs to be more symmetrical balance? Because you see, it's just a hair left and up a little bit from dead center. Does that matter? What do you think?
I guess that would be a plus or a bonus, but as it is, I don't think it would change my opinion of where I would be with it in competition.
I didn't really notice that till you mentioned it. I mean, yeah, it is, but not by much.
Okay. Well, just kind of curious because it's just one of those things that's right there. It doesn't bother me. I'm just, some judges are a little more like to have things very symmetrical. I'm okay with asymmetrics. The overall story and the power of the whole image, the impact is so strong that doesn't bother me at all. But just trying to get your feel for what, if you think it needed to be either cropped in on the right just a little bit to balance it more, if it matters or not. So,
well, I guess if I were the maker after your comments, because it would be so simple to do, I would fix that. But I'm not sure that it's that big a deal. But yeah, I'd fix it.
No, it's one of those things that you maybe don't see it, but now when somebody else points it out, all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, now I see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what is the line? I can't unsee it.
Yeah, I can't unsee that now. Or you can't unhear that one now. Yeah, they're very nicely done. Though. If you haven't, whoever's this is, I would definitely enter this in competition. I think it will do. I think it'll do well. Majestic Solace.
This looks almost like a painting.
Doesn't it? That's just what I was thinking.
And I wonder if they did some painting work on it. Not that it matters. If they did, it certainly improved the picture. But I mean, it's close to monochromatic. Not quite. Got those blues in there. The sky is just about perfect with the little bits of pink clouds showing up above them. With the ragged bottoms of those clouds. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't have much of a presentation.
That's what I was going to say. It could really benefit. I feel with a presentation.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's just got a wonderful story. It's kind of in your face almost with the size of the church and the picture. I mean, I think it's okay, but you've got this very almost ominous kind of a sky that's kind of clearing back there, a little bit of sunlight coming through this black church. Yet there's yellow flowers across the bottom, if you notice that. And this,
and I think it would be better if there were a little more bottom
room on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, just enough room to have someone walking in towards.
What if there were 2 or 3 alpacas in there? Would that be okay?
I'd rather have a congregant.
But I think with the right mat and presentation, this would do well. I think it's a beautiful image.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's as you mentioned it now, Cliff, that's a good point to the maker. If there's just a little bit more room on the bottom, I think I would either bring that back or even add, if you got that kind of a ground cover somewhere in another image, if you can add maybe twice as much as what's there, so it's not much, but it would just give it a little bit more of a base for it. But well done, just very good story and nicely done. All right, come on. Morning Gallop. Well, I like this, the impact of this because they're right here on top of us. They're right in our face. And the front horses there are nice and sharp and crisp, and the depth of field falls off. So you have a nice selective focus here, which I think is definitely another element of design. So it's really pulling our attention to these front running horses here, and the other ones become a supporting cast back there. Beautiful color harmony throughout. Again, kind of monochrome almost, but just really neat. Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the time of day was handled, or that it was taken, is just right on. We have just really pretty edge lighting on the horses, and their manes. Really well done. Even in the background, we see that on the horses in the rear. But again, let's think about the key line and where we're seeing it and where we're losing it.
We lose it in the upper left for sure.
Yeah. And this is one of those cases where I feel that the mat, now just the opposite of what we were talking about earlier, we probably could have a little more mat.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I would even say you could almost go almost twice that width, maybe not quite that much. Yeah. So let me ask you this: as judges, when I see things like this, and we talk about the technical excellence of an image, is when and those are the things that have to be right on. It's got to be sharp. It's got to be well exposed. It's got to have those kind of the technical things. That's not it's close to sharp. Yeah. Obviously, we talked about the front horses being sharp and the back ones being out of focus, but that's a element of design there in terms of presentation. What about the color cast in the white of the horses? I mean, I'm such a nut on color, but that obviously they probably had a very low lighting, but end of the day, blue sky. So we have that reflection in the white. Do you, as a judge, do you see that and kind of, oh gosh, I wish that was white because their hair is white? Is that
whether it's the end of the day or the beginning of the day, obviously the light, the sun is coming in from camera right. So we're going to have, the shadowed area to the left from camera left, and the left of the scene is not going to be as bright as what's coming in from the right. So, I guess, you could pump a little red in there, take care of that cyan, but, just not that big of an issue to me.
Okay.
No, actually, it's an accurate representation of what was there.
Well, and that's where I think the I'll use the word argument comes in, is that yes, it's there. Our brains adjust for that as we're standing there, so we don't see that per se as we're standing there looking at it, because our brains work to balance those colors out and not notice that. But once you photograph it, so for me, I'm such a stickler on color that I kind of, the first thing I see, and it's not really a bad thing, it's a natural thing, but I look at that and go, oh, I wish they'd taken the blue out of the white there, because especially in the shadows back here, look at how blue, and especially when I put a blue marker over it, but look at how those white shadowed areas, those dark, really deep whites, how blue they look. That doesn't feel natural to me. So I think I would have tried to adjust that a little bit if it was my image.
Mm-hmm.
Personal preference, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
All right. But a good, strong composition. They're right there in your face. Lots of good power. You want to get out of the way. So we had Richard was tuned in for us a little bit. Now he's heading to the guild meeting. So he's trying to hit all the meetings tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Morning show.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
The eyes are in focus and sharp. There's a little blurring in the fur, but that's to the speed of the dog, I think.
Yeah.
Great color. I mean, the blue sky, the sun on whatever that is behind the dog there is gold. it's a great animal action. And, that's one of the things with animal pictures. They're always better when the animal's doing something rather than just being there. And in this case, that dog is doing something. I mean, I think this is it's a great image. But again, there's no presentation that would help it for the maker. If you enter this, is to come up with a presentation for it. But the image itself is,
I'll give you a gray mat there.
yeah, there we go. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Rick, what do you think?
I think I agree. I would like to have maybe seen a little bit more room in front of the dog, camera right, because this guy is really moving.
Yeah.
Just allow a little more space to camera right for it to run into, and then maybe looking at a couple other frames where we have separation of the legs, which we do in the front, but in the back, it's almost like I don't see any legs. And these would be the legs, right? I don't think it's a tail. Help me with that. I'm looking in this area and right around here.
Well, that's both the legs right there where you just
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
There's another frame where they're separated.
Yeah. So talk about that a little more. I've heard judges, there'll be a beautiful portrait of a horse standing in a field, and everything is just gorgeous about it. The two front feet are obviously separated, but the back feet are together, and it ends up not scoring well. And so that obviously is a big deal.
But that's that's the way dogs run when they're running like that. And the front legs aren't separated all that much. They're both stretched out in front.
Yeah. That's what I wanted. So do judges put a big emphasis on that, Rick, do you think, in this situation, if the one is hidden?
I would think so. I would think so. And I understand, that's the way they run. I don't know. I would look at some other frames and see, because I would bet the maker, was really popping off the frames, and just to see if there's, a frame where there's just even the slightest bit of difference there. Because you're right, the point you made about the example of the horses, gosh, to have it look like there's just one leg back there, that'll kill an image.
Yeah, I've got an image that I've did of a couple of wild horses, and everything about the scene is it's delicious. But for competition, both horses, the way they're standing and where I would happen to shoot from, both horses look like they have one leg in the back. And it irritates me that I didn't catch that when I was shooting, because I probably could have taken 3 steps to my right or whatever and gotten, that. But it's just that situation that I know probably won't even get a merit. So
right.
Still love to have a dog like this though for a pet, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, for me, allowing a little bit more space camera right, because the whole image is pretty much bullseye.
And that actually would be a pretty easy fix technically with this image. Had the back legs been more what we were talking about, but you can easily extend this area here. Where'd my pen go? You can easily extend this area. Sure. Okay, I guess I won't do it. If I hit zoom, it goes away. I don't get what's happening here. Come on, stay with me. Anyways, but you can actually extend this image and give us a little bit more room, but I think that's a good point. So, all right, we've talked about that one. Let's move along. Let's clear some stuff here. And Nature's Morning Paintbrush. Wow. Yeah, this is the reason that even though there aren't people in this picture, this is the reason I'll get out of bed in the morning, is to be there for these kind of scenes. You got beautiful, the soft light, the very early morning light here coming in is, and I'm sorry, I got a sneeze coming up. Figures. Oh, goodness, bad timing. That beautiful morning light that's just coming in and kissing the mountains, kissing the peaks there. is just delicious. I mean, look at the three-dimensional feeling, how soft it is, but yet how deep and dimensional the trees, the peaks, and even the little bit of the cloud. I mean, this is absolutely a delicious scene. The only thing I would like to have seen a little bit more detail, and this is post-processing work, is maybe a little more contrast, a little more brightening, some little techniques in the fence, in the land, just a little bit. We don't want to overpower. You get the beautiful tones in the tree aspen here and the mountains with the beautiful shadows and such. But if there's just a little bit more life down here in the lower area, I think it would be just that. And I might even have cropped it up.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this area down here, for some reason, I can't get
Are you
out.
seeing
I won't draw it.
Are you seeing my marker?
Well, here's the problem. I'm in Zoom, but when I go to Zoom, there we go. I don't know how I did it that time, but it worked. Yes, that's what I was saying. I agree.
You know, because that goes back to what we were saying earlier. From where I made the marker and down, my question is that part that's below the marker line, is it adding to or taking away from the image? Personally, I feel that if it was cropped up just a tad, that would pull the fence line down a little further.
Yeah.
It'd be a stronger composition, in my opinion. But it's a beautiful, beautiful image.
Cliff, what do you think?
I think as gorgeous as this is, I wouldn't get out of bed early.
Well, there you go. Well, what if we had a couple of
I concur.
cowboys and a horse there with portrait lights?
When you get to my age, tell me about it. But it is. I certainly agree with you. It's a stunning image. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I think just the little bit of things, the cropping that Rick talked about, and I'd like to see just a little bit more life in this area of the fence and the grasses there that kind of match what's going on up here. Not even quite that. I think this could be very cool.
This could be a poster for John Wayne's True Grit.
Yeah.
So much of that.
So
Yeah,
don't you think, Rick, when you look at this, you go, I got up early for this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
see, but Cliff, I said the same thing, but I enunciated it differently. I got up early for this. Whoa. Big
Yeah.
difference. Big difference.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice shot, but no expression. No, it's to the makers. It's a beautiful.
It's superb.
Thanks for playing. Don't come back.
Yeah. Cliff and I are just expressing our prejudices.
Not by the hair on my chinny chin. Man, this is just so strong.
Yeah.
First of all, we talked about impact before. Look at the eyes. I mean, no matter where you look in this scene, you keep coming back to the eyes, which tells me that everything is lit so well in here that the hands look great, the side of the face, the shadow, the kicker light, the texture and folds of the shirt, even the little bit of texture in the background are all very strong and nice, but we still keep coming back to the eyes.
You know, and back in the day, there was a photographer that I considered a mentor of mine, Ed DeCroce.
Yeah.
And he said there are two lights that give photographers the most problems: the hair light and the background light. And whether or not a background light was used here, or if it's just the natural look of this background, because I mean, that's the way they're making them. It's just so well done. Because sometimes if you had a background light, it would just blast the background, but it's just handled so well because of the separation that we see from the body to the background. And I mean, the whole rendition, as far as the color harmony is handled. There's, obviously a little bit of post, but not overly done. Man, the light was so well controlled.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's very strong.
Yeah. And it just the little icing on the cake, for instance, the little kicker light to the right, I think really doesn't need to be toned down, because we're seeing really good detail.
Yeah.
But man, I so appreciate seeing well done portraits in a classic style. just really well done.
What do you think about there's two there's two catch lights in the eye. Would you remove one set or another? Does that matter?
Oh, yeah, I personally I do. And I guess it's a matter of taste. If it was in competition, I would guess that would be a concern for one of the panelists. But am I seeing a full bleed as well, Jeffy?
Yeah, there's no matte.
Okay.
Here, I'll give you a gray matte. How's that?
There you
Yeah, I think it's just so well done. It's very strong. And like I said, to me, this is kind of the epitome of a portrait and how all of the other elements that I mentioned are happening here, the shirt, the hands, the background. We still keep coming back to the eyes. This is just so well done. I don't know if I mind the double catch lights in there. I do know that there's something that over the years in competition, judges will kind of say, oh, it's too bad there's two catch lights. They'll kind of.
I don't think it's a deal killer.
What's that?
I don't think it's a deal killer, as far as the other catch light. But I guess where I'm going with my comments is what I like to see in portraits and how they're captured, rendered, and presented is the timeless quality. And this is definitely an image that, in my opinion, is just timeless. It's not trendish. It's what's
right.
The trend of the day type of a photograph. I mean, it could have been done 50 years ago, and it could have been done last week.
There's one other thing though that I think it just
that's my definition.
Yeah. One other thing that I think is wrong, and I just noticed this, and I'm sorry to the maker, but it needs to say Jeff Johnson right down here in the corner, and then it'll be perfect. Okay, moving along.
Yeah, with the scenic
I love
background.
This. What's that?
With the scenic background.
Well, I have some mountains we could drop in there. All right, we have Sacred Sunrise. Wow, what an environment this is. So now we take that last portrait and just make it a little smaller and put it right in front of there, and there you go. We got the best of both worlds.
Be perfect.
Yeah. What a lovely scene. I mean, it's definitely got some great dimension from the scrub in the foreground here, the sage on the right coming in, the hills, the shadows, very dimensional, good depth. We always talk about a photograph is really a two-dimensional media, and our job is to create that third dimension. I think this has definitely done it. Great time of day, good position of lights. Clouds I like that they're soft and kind of frilly almost. They don't take away, but they do definitely support the background. Cliff, any comments?
Yeah, even for a guy that's not a landscape guy, I can recognize that the time of day was just about perfect because, a couple hours earlier, you would never have seen the ripples in the sand.
No, that's true.
And so that low light brings out that foreground, which really makes the foreground stand out. And of course, the angle of the sun on the rocks, it's just a gorgeous image. Great color harmony with the oranges and yellows against the blues. Yeah, this is really spectacular. I really like this.
Rick, thoughts?
Yes, totally agree with everything you guys have said. Masterfully done. My only concern would be right here at the bottom. When I first saw the image, it almost, did you see my marker, Jeff?
Yeah, I see what you're talking about now. That one little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It almost kind of looked like a smudge, but I mean I'm not going to say it's minor because taking care of that I think would add to the image. But other than that, I totally agree. The lighting is handled well. Cliff, you said at the right time of day. We see these real nice ripples in the sand. A beautiful image.
Yeah, very cool. What about the matte? You think that's too much, too dark, maybe?
I guess it didn't concern me because
you said anything about it. So
it was like looking right in, through a window for me.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is one of those images. If you start playing with you don't want to go with a dark blue matte. You don't want to go with an orangey thing. I think the dark brown's a good color. Maybe a little bit lighter. Again, we're being real picky, but yeah, just going for
And
information.
we haven't talked a whole lot about this, if at all. But Jeffy, what are your thoughts, and Cliffy, of black and white conversion?
Oh, yeah.
That could be pretty cool. That could be very powerful,
Yeah,
actually.
it sure could. Yeah, that'd be worth a try for sure.
I can see if I could pull up my hold on just a second. We'll play here real quick. I got so many things open here.
I think there would be some merit to exploring that
Yeah.
possibility. And then look what it did to those two elements that I was just talking about in the foreground.
Yeah, it takes it away from your point of view. This is kind of leaning it almost towards an infrared kind of a feeling.
Yeah.
We can, take it more towards the color of the rocks that they were, so that works as well. Just a thought. That's black and white's always. I think black and white's always correct. So not wrong, just correct. Just a thought. Thanks for playing.
Well, you know what they say, and we've said it before, everyone's entitled to their own ridiculous opinion.
Even if Rick disagrees.
This is very, very nice. Moody, obviously. One of those images that
Come on. There we go.
I was just touching my screen. On the top center do we see a bird?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a little guy right there.
Yeah. But there's a lot of feeling and moodiness to this image. I guess, if we could work it a little bit to where we're not so blasted out, in this area on the lake or river, whatever. And I understand we're going to have this bright blasting on the top, but man, there's so much mood to it. And then I guess I'm playing around with it too in terms of cropping and composition, but interested to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, that maybe cropping it down from the top a little bit. And I don't know how you get away from the glare on the water. I mean, that's
tough.
That's tough.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you've got that much sunlight in your sky, you're going to have, I mean, unless you did another exposure way underexposed or underexpose it so you get just faint lines.
Yeah.
To tone it down. And you'd have to do a little work because you wouldn't want to lose these areas to black nothing. But yeah, but I think it's kind of cool. Let's talk. Let me go back to Photoshop and I can figure out what that looks like. And
it doesn't take it away for me. That doesn't take it away from this image.
What doesn't? The
glare in the water. I look at that as just a natural occurrence from where the sun is.
Well, how about if we were to play with something like this?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you're still getting some of that sunlight in there.
Oh yeah.
That makes a big difference.
Sorry about that. You're still getting some of that, but it's not very much. And then you still have the glow from the sun, so it's getting that effect. We have the effect and the action reaction.
Well, what you did, Jeffy, with that cropping is you minimized the dominance of that particular area. In other words, it's not taking up as much real estate now as it was before. And that's where it was an issue for me.
And the effects are still there, aren't they? You still have the sun glare, you still have the reflection, but we've played it down. And now what you see is this nice curve of the trees, of the the matching fog there. You have this nice line coming in, even you have this nice curve of the clouds, few little floaters, a little bit of that there, and then just enough water to support it.
Right, and just where you circled and where I'm circling was where that blast was.
Yeah.
And now it's at least a half or 2/3 that was cut out of it, but it still suggests the direction of light that's down to that reflection. So yeah, I like that cropping.
And then also I think what's kind of cool about it is you've got a lot of soft gray tones through here. And then you have these guys that are darker, but they're good strong anchors to keep you coming back and give you a feeling of strength in this image. So this, hey, for what it's worth, Maker, I like this.
Yeah,
me too.
Good work though. Yeah, but let me
Thanks. I did. Can you hear me?
say that again.
I said, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, there's John. Hi, John.
Yeah, I did want to mention one thing about this. I wasn't sure if it was apparent or not, but I'm kind of a fan of selenium toning, and so the kind of the blue but overall selenium, I think it's selenium tone
Right.
was too much, but so I just did the mid tones. But when I was looking at this after I'd submitted it, I kind of thought like if I gave a little bit more of a blue tone to the lows and the mids, that it would give it a moodier feel to it with a little bit of barely detectable blue.
Yeah, that's good because it does, you want it to just be a feeling and not an obvious color cast to it. Because I mean, back in the day, Rick, you'll remember this one, we used to actually do sepia tone and selenium tones. You would get this, if as you're doing it, you could see the blue or the browns or the gold tones, but as you were done with it and you'd hang it on the wall, nobody would come along and go, why is it so blue, or why is it so but it did what you're saying, John. I think that's a really good idea. But yeah, I think you can maybe kick it up just a little bit more to give it just a little bit more of a, what it does is it makes kind of a silvery look to those blacks and grays, and that's very classic old world. So thanks for letting us be brave and chopping this up for you, but that's our 25 cents right there. How's that?
And a guy in a little bit of a rowboat right there.
Okay. Let's see. Where's the rowboat? Right there. There you go. Would you put him there, Rick, or would you put him over here? Whoops.
I'm sorry.
Wrong tool. Hang on. Oh, jeez. I'm trying to get my draw tool. Would you put the boat there, or would you put the boat
On the left.
Is either side. The reason I'm talking about here is two reasons. It looked like Gilligan's Island boat.
Sorry, John. We're having fun.
The reason I was doing the right is because there's light enough area for it to be contrasted against, plus the fact that, kind of looking in from left to right, as opposed to the blue here. But, nice shot, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Well done. All right.
Do you mind if I ask where that was taken?
That's from the fishing bridge in Yellowstone.
Oh, okay.
That's the Yellowstone River looking north.
Right. Okay. I'll have to go shoot there. I'm just kidding.
Wait a
No,
minute.
it is a great. The mornings there are great. It's a great spot.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It is gorgeous.
If it's looking north, why is the sun there?
Well, it's probably not due north, but it's early morning. That would be early morning, wouldn't it? Yeah.
True. I've looked at a map several times, and everything's all screwy up there. You're right. The sun should not be rising in the north, but
Biffy, I am impressed. That's your pilot training, huh?
It is.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how'd you get that from watching sitcoms? But
Good.
anyhow, nice job, John. I like it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, well, no matter what direction it is, it's a great image.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
Just don't put Cliff on the panel when you submit that one. And the other thing too, guys, to everybody out there in the audience, the other part of what we're the service, I guess we'll use that word that we're offering, is an opportunity if you want to make some of these changes and get with Rick or Cliff or I. We'll certainly look at it again and give you some more feedback as to how it would do in competition or what else we could do. Help you tweak it along the way. That's the fun part of all this thing, is just to be able to help you through a whole process. So this one is called Stormy Seas Ahead.
Go, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking a little closer at my window here. Really good story. I like the I'm just going to go here for the right window so I can draw on it, because I like drawing on things. It'll let me. There we go. So what I'm wondering though is, well, there's good movement coming down. So I like that. This rock actually kind of gives us a nice anchor for this corner. I think what's kind of holding me back a little bit is it's a little bit, it's there's a lot of contrast in it. I realize it's a really overcast day, but then you've got a lot of dark in here that's just making it very, very heavy with all the light color of the water. I think maybe these areas back here could have been lightened up just a little bit. I mean, it's nice back up in here, but this bank right here, actually all the way across there, kind of almost divides it a little bit. I mean, it's kind of on the edge there, but I like the time that you've done, the shutter speed time, so that you have some texture. For years I would always do the long exposure and everything would get all soft and milky, but it just kind of left a feeling of depth, no depth in it, because we didn't have that texture. So I like that you've done just the right amount of time that we still see some movement in the water, still see some texture in there. So what do you think, Cliff?
Yeah, it when it came up, my first reaction was, oh man, this is really cool. But then the more I looked at it, I thought that's just awfully dark up there in that whole upper,
Yeah,
the left and upper part. And it probably wouldn't be all that difficult to pull those shadows up a little bit.
Right.
And then I'm not so sure there's not way too much water over to the lower right. I don't know. In other words, I'm thinking,
how about a crop break here above these rocks?
Yeah, that might do it.
I think it's a little better balanced that way. I mean, I like those rocks, but they aren't make or break it. I kind of like the balance of cutting that. That's about a quarter of the image away.
I would just think there's just a lot over here. It's almost like if the image were in here instead of all of this. I don't know.
Well, maybe even cropping off on the right there too.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's go back to the Photoshop thing. And just take the crop tool here and just play a little bit. So you're thinking like maybe even like in here?
Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking.
What do you think, Rick? Did we hurt it or make it better, or any thoughts there?
Okay, I think that's an improvement. My biggest concern, and you touched on that earlier, Jeffy, impact. And as we see this crop, where is my center of interest? Where is my landing point? Sometimes they'll say, well, the whole image is the center of interest. And I can buy that. But it comes back then for me to impact. And unfortunately, it doesn't have that lasting impact for me that I would want to see. And I hope I'm not being too harsh to the maker of it. We want to make these comments valuable to you, and to just sugarcoat them wouldn't be doing any favors. So that would be my concern, as the center of interest and the impact.
Yeah, when I take it back to the full crop, I mean, those rocks definitely ask for attention, but the crop you're talking about here, I think plays better for the flow of the water and such. But that's true. I will have to agree with you there too, that there's not a place to rest my eye, that
No, there isn't.
there's movement, and that's fine, but the impact is that fleeting impact. At first, like, wow, that's kind of cool, but then it kind of falls away. Again, not meant to be an insult, not meant to hurt anybody's feelings. So please just take it with the fact that it's that's what'll be said probably on a panel of judges. And I think knowing that before submitting it to when it really counts for a score is better than having us sit here and say, oh, beautiful this, beautiful that, and having you move on forward with it and then have it shot down to a panel when it counts for scores and counts for awards. That we'd rather give you information now that could help you. And honestly, one of the decisions isn't just, should we make it lighter? Should we change the color? Should we change the crop? One of the decisions you have to have is, should I even bother entering it? Should I even bother continuing with it? And frankly, that's a big question that happens all the time. It's not right or wrong. It's not good or bad. It just is, right, guys? It's just, you have to really be honest about.
Yeah.
No, I know I've mentioned
Absolutely.
this before a couple of months ago, because I remember Rick many years ago with an image that didn't score well at the state. And I kept trying to convince Rick that I could do this and could do that to make it better. And he just kept saying, no, Cliffy, no. No. I mean, the image, it just wasn't there. You know, some of them, it's just not there.
Yeah, and it's funny. Go ahead, Rick.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, because
Okay.
I know when we're starting out in competition, we maybe don't have many images to choose from, and we're learning and we're not sure which one's going to do. So you like this one, you want to work it, you want to milk it, you want to just make it happen. But sometimes you just have to go, not
right.
going to do it.
Right.
Yeah, one of my stories was a judge at Rocky Mountain and a dear friend. And once the images were up on display, I said, Alan, it got a 78. And he looked at it, and I could see he was trying to help me out and what can we do with it. And he just looked at me and he said, you know what, Rick? Sometimes a print is a 78.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Because I mean, as much as we get attached to it, that's the hard part about this, right? Because we do this, we were there, we have emotions, we have wonderful trip, all the stories are attached to the image. So in our hearts, oh my God, they're going to love this one. And I mean, this still happens to me after all these years. And you submit it and it gets a score, and you're like, what the hell's the matter with those judges?
Yeah. So, but anyway, I think we've really covered this one, and I will be checking my mail to make sure that any boxes aren't ticking.
All right. We've just got a few left here. So we have, come on. Oh, for crying out loud, hold on. Taking the lead.
I really like this one. The close-up of these horses, boy, they look really sharp. Great composition. I think there's enough room on the left side there for the horse to run into. I mean, I think it would be nice if there were a little more room, but I don't think it's a killer. I don't think it kills the image. Great color, good composition, and a good presentation. I think the detached key line works really well here. Good, it's a good choice. Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah.
Isn't the lighting beautiful? That soft overhead.
Oh, very
light,
soft. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the depth is created.
Yeah.
Do you think
this kind of go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
No, this goes back to what we were saying about one of the previous images. Look at the horse on the left and then the one right behind him, where you see the separation of the hooves and the legs. I'm just kind of checking this out again, and the whole animation and action of the image is there. I mean, which to me is storytelling.
I'm sorry, I can't trying to get Zoom to come back on my screen so it'll record what you guys are drawing on it. And every time I go to the Zoom, it closes it. So sorry about that. Yeah, I think this has just tremendous depth. What a great story in here of this whole herd, and they're running at us. I mean, I think, a lot of times we always want to give room, space around the, let me see if I can try it again here. We want to give space around between the subject and the edge of the image so that it's not too tight. But I think this creates the intensity to have in this image here. There are these, several 100-pound animals are running right at the camera. Probably a long lens, obviously, but it just really, I think, adds to that emotional impact of it. What do you guys think about stuff like this? And I know this is one of these questions we wouldn't have asked years ago, but these little horses back here, would you remove those from the scene?
I don't believe I would,
I don't think
because
so.
to me, they're supporting elements
Okay.
that really add to the story. And
What do
I
you
made
think
a
about-
point or a
What
comment.
about this guy?
Which guy?
Up
This
in the
guy
upper
here.
right there. Yeah, I was just going to say, I wouldn't get rid of these guys either, but yeah, this guy, so I probably would, because while these horses are smaller, obviously in the background, it adds depth to the scene. Otherwise, you just have this hill, which is, fine, but the smaller horses add depth. This guy probably would eliminate. Let me just color him out here.
Yeah.
Because it's just drawing attention there unnecessarily. But these horses on the left add to the story.
Yeah.
Of how many are back there, and they're all charging the camera.
Dynamite image.
And Whitby made a comment a couple times earlier in the show, about it being natural. And that's why I would not get rid of these animals in the back because they're supporting elements. And then I think a point that maybe should be made is just because you can do something doesn't mean you necessarily should.
Good point.
Yeah.
I was in a judging quite some time ago, and a couple of the panelists were saying, well, it would be so easy to have done this to that tree or done this and blah blah blah, and to a degree I agreed with them, but at what point do we cross the line and sterilize an image just because we can, and take all of the natural feel of the image away from it?
And I think I've gotten to that situation. So, I'll remove this, and then all of a sudden, since that's not an issue, then something else becomes more prominent, and you remove that, and then something else, and all of a sudden you've got one horse left, or for example,
All of a sudden, you're down to a mat and a key line.
yeah, exactly.
Just the mat
All right.
key line.
And what would that would be the story of the snowman and the snowstorm and high noon.
Yeah.
How about just again getting opinion? I think the color of the mat is a good choice. I like it. How about the distance, the key line to the image? Is that okay? Is it too much? Any thoughts there, guys?
It concerned me, quite honestly. I think it could come in at least a third, because when we have a real, and this is an extreme, but it's enough for me to make the comments that it should be closer to the image. Like I say, about a third. The issue is when the key lines are detached and separated at a fair distance from the image, then it becomes a distraction rather than something that's helping the image.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's asking then for more attention than is necessary, is what you're saying, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Good image. I think it'll do well in competition. I sure hope it does for you. So, okay, we're doing pretty well here. We just have a few left. We've got oh, come on. I thought I was in the software again here. I tell you what. There we go. There's history in this leather. Very cool. What a strong story here The pose is obviously very comfortable, relaxed. It looks very fitting for this guy, just kind of hanging out. He's got his coat on. He probably wears it all the time. But just beautiful lighting, nice roundness to the face, really gives us depth. The background with the flag in there, that's genius. It's subtle, but it's there, and it helps tie the story in. I mean, the pose is final. You know, a lot of times we don't want to have a leg or knee or something coming straight into the camera, so it kind of gives us maybe a little bit of a distortion in here. If I can get my pen back here. Little bit of distorted feeling of the leg being short. I don't mind it too much, but you know, that's kind of sometimes what happens. Well, Rick, what do you think? I asked him just as he was taking that drink.
I liked it. And you know, regarding the knee, generally I'd be in total agreement with you, but because of the color of his pants, being the dark pants like that, it's almost a non-issue. Strong lighting. Man, the power of this image is in the expression.
Isn't it?
There's intensity, and there's intensity in the eyes. I mean, the exposures handled extremely well. I might suggest that we back off just a little bit. I mean, the light has been controlled really well, but I might suggest that we back off just a little bit on the hands. You know, we certainly don't want them to have the same tonal value as the highlight on the face, but maybe, you know, not quite to that degree, but and maybe just a tad more above the subject. You know, we might
Face
be
you're talking about here
a little tight, but you know, if we add a little more room above the subject, if the file allows, and if it doesn't, I mean, it's be stretched. But man, you know, sometimes less is more, and that's what this is all about. I mean, the simplicity of the pose, and it seems like simple lighting, but you know, it's lighting that's well handled and so classic. Just really well done.
Yeah, it's like you said, the expression is that timeless look that you know, doesn't matter what era, doesn't matter when it was done. It's just very powerful, very strong. And I was going to ask you about the hands, because that's something that I hear a lot from judges, and especially when it comes to babies, portraits and things. And it's a hard one, because if the hands are the same exposure with the same light in the face, then you'd have a judge saying, well, the hands are too bright, whatever. So it's a real fine line, don't you agree, where you have to tone those skin tone down other than the face just enough so they don't ask for attention. But yet you've got a nice triangle going on here because of the color tone from the face of the hands and back. But yeah, I agree. I think the hands could be just a little bit lighter.
Here's the deal, and I know you remember this very well, Jeffy, and maybe some of our other participants. Parabolic lighting with barn doors. I mean, this reminds me of that kind of lighting. And the barn doors would be able to rotate or revolve around the 16-inch parabolic, and they would use the barn door to come up from the bottom to kind of cast not a shadow, but to block the light. That's literally what it was, a blocker. And then we had gobos that we would use to block light, and this is so reminiscent of that to me. It's just a tad heavy for me.
And everybody in the room was looking at me like, is he speaking Chinese right now?
Man, we are showing our age.
I know we are, but that was exactly what I was thinking, because I think it's just so well done. But yeah, just a couple little things like that might bring it up a little higher in the score. But anyways, very cool piece. All right. Watching from a frosty perch. I don't think I can say that 3 times fast. Cliff, what do you think?
Really cool image. It's I think it's very creative to see those birds up there because there aren't any birds anywhere else in the picture. They're just up on the top of that tree. And I wouldn't get up early for this picture either, but it's
I don't think you'd have to with this kind of lighting. You could do this
no,
right after
probably not.
breakfast.
Yeah, this might have been after breakfast is right. It might have been nice, I don't know, to see a little more detail in the snow. It's kind of no detail down there, but on the other hand, the whole lighting is kind of flat. So I don't know that that's a real detriment to this. And
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's blown out, but yeah.
No, it's not blown out. It's just kind of detail less. But maybe that works because so is the sky. The sky is, that's what the day is. The day is just a blah day. But I think it's a great image with that dark tree trunk going up to those birds.
Yeah,
I really like this a lot.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. I'll challenge you guys when we're all done with the show here tonight. Everybody go look up an Ansel Adams winter shot, and I think you're going to see a similar type of a look to it, where the snow has that off-white kind of grayish cast, but there's wonderful detail in it. There's really no whites in here, but look at the texture in the trunk of this tree. Isn't it just stunning? And the birds really stand out. And look at this nice triangle going on here. Isn't that cool? And then this other little triangle going on right here. And you can even make an argument for over here. So we have all that nice movement going on there. No, I think this is just really stunning. Probably the only downside is I maybe would do something a little different. This little white lip, it's probably the same color as the sky, maybe less. And then I take this, man, you could do a 1 pixel key line on this background, and it would be just 1 or 2 pixel key line, even of that color, but maybe even a lesser of a gray, almost into a darker white, just to signify that. That's all you need to have. Matter of fact, I'd probably even suggest, if this were my image, let me just look at this for a minute. I might even suggest just not even have this gray matte, just a key line of maybe 1 or 2 pixels of a gray. That's it. So the key line gives you the separation, gives you the appearance of a matte. That'll get away with the rule, but it just totally is really playing into the whole feeling of the image and really taking into that fine art thing. I think it's just very well done to the maker.
Yeah, beautiful image.
Anything you want to add, Ricky?
No, man, you guys covered it. It's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm just leaning and looking. I am sniffing the print, as we used to say. Okay, very cool. Let's see. We have just a couple more here. We're doing well on time. So we have Wildebeest's Hunt. That's a tongue twister. Wildebeest's Hunt. Man, what a story here, huh?
Oh man.
I mean, look at the actually I'm excited about this being in black and white, because look at the, we talk about tonal range. The contrast range is one thing, and this is good, but the tonal range in here, oh my goodness. I mean, this is just, look at the shades of gray. Let me get my lovely little pen out here. Look at the shades of gray just through the bodies, from the top, the sun's hitting it down to I mean, there's all 11 zones right there. The whites, the little bit of whites in here, the little bit of hair in the back of the neck there, a little bit right there, a little bit of highlights there. So it's representing that end of the zone system. Even the dark areas are just dark enough. If you look carefully, you can see a little bit of outlines of legs and things. This is strong and powerful. Obviously, we would suggest putting the mat around it for competition, but man, Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. And we talked about the presentation. What are your thoughts? I mean, this is such a great capture. I'm thinking in terms of a presentation, wouldn't a fine art white mat look great on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
This
Just
is National Geographic quality work here. This is-
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Just that white matte, and again, just a little bit off white. I wouldn't do bright white. Take it to just a little bit
Right.
off white,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
just a very, very fine key line detach as we're talking about. Very cool stuff here. How about, as we look for North Americans, we read left to right. Would you flip this image, guys? Because they're kind of coming at us, but then they're ultimately turning left. Would you flip this? Would that matter?
Oh, I don't know that I would, honestly.
I don't
Okay.
know. This is definitely a lasting impact image. I just keep looking and looking and looking. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would get up early for
Superb.
this.
Yeah, actually, this is the kind of black and white tone that I always seek out when I'm trying to do my black and white stuff. I mean, if you took to the maker, get a hold of the zone system strip or the elements. There's 256 shades of gray in here. Get a hold of that strip and just put it up there, and you'll find every tone in there in this scene. It's really, really well done. Do you think
And Jeffy,
and then the other thing too, guys, that for those of you listening in here, when we do competition and as a judge, when an image pops up in front of us and it's extremely well done, naturally we start looking for little tiny bits and pieces. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, it's beside the point. We start looking at little things like, this is so well done. Does the grasses in the foreground bother you guys at all? Would you do anything about these?
No.
Okay. It's hard when you crop an image. You've got kind of a half an animal over here and some legs over here. Not much you can do about that. I'm okay with that as a judge. You look at the whole theme here, right?
right. And this kind of image would be, I think, well served if it was like in reportage, something like that. And there's a limited amount of things that you can do in post anyways.
True. All right, another question that comes to mind. How would you enter this, Rick? Would you enter this as just an illustrative, or would you go reportage with this?
Oh, I would go reportage.
Cliff, you think same thing, or would you?
Yeah, I do. And I was still thinking about the cropping. If you were to crop any off the side, then there's something else that you need to get rid of. And then,
Yeah, where do you stop? You crop this guy, you crop this guy out, and then you've cut a head in half
and you
here.
got that guy, right?
Yeah, you crop this out, and then this guy's too close, and so I think it's done well because those items are there, but they're not asking for too much attention. So
no, they're not.
Well, and the reason too that I say reportage, Cliffy nailed it when he said National Geographic. I mean, that defines reportage.
Yeah. Yes,
Linda's
sir.
asking what is.
What's that?
I just saw.
Can you describe the difference between reportage and illustrative?
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, reportage is a submission of an event, generally, and you can find these at PPA. If you go online at PPA, you can navigate through it. Find out the differences. Reportage generally reflects an event, and it could be a sport event, it could be a social event, a cultural event, and that can be submitted. And it can be submitted as an individual image, or it could be a selection or a collection of images, such as an album. But there are limits as to what you can do in post. You can do a little bit of dodging, a little bit of burning, but there's really no editing in terms of Photoshop that as far as taking this out or putting this in. So you're really kind of limited. It's just pretty much a straight look at an event. Whether, like I say, there's a cultural, social, or sport event. Now, illustrative, generally, images like, like your landscapes, your flowers, uh, those kind of things can be submitted as illustrative, and then editing and post as you wish. So
Right.
hopefully that gives you an idea, but I would recommend that, you go to ppa.com and look that up, and it'll give you the all of the guidelines as far as those categories are
Yeah.
concerned.
I think you hit it pretty well. It really is more to that photojournalistic approach where it's telling the story as it's happened, and all we did is maybe just kind of make it lighter, darker, a little more contrast, and let it
Right.
be. We didn't add
Right.
any more human element to it in terms of editing and processing to make it
Right.
more better. So I had to get that in.
This would make a great jigsaw puzzle.
Oh my gosh, 5,000 piece too. 5,000
Yeah.
piece jigsaw puzzle. Yeah. And then what you do is have a similar image on the back side of the puzzle. So you have two puzzles, and then absolutely a stunning image. Good job. And again, just think of the right mat around this, the right presentation for competition. I just think this would do real well. All right. I think we have one more image here. We're starting to get a little close on time, but we're doing okay. So guys, if you got questions to ask us when we're done here, we'll give you a chance to do this. So actually one more image. Let's talk about, if I can get to the right tool here. Well, for crying out loud, let me pick the picture. Oh, that is just too weird. It will not let me go. This kind of stuff, see, I'm still stuck in.
Well, that's why you're still in the drawing mode.
Uh-oh. But this doesn't happen when nobody's watching.
Of course.
All right, let me leave it there. Go back here. Try that. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry about that, guys. All right. So we have here Winter's Grip. Cliff, you want to take a shot at it?
Sure. Give me a moment here. Let me take a look at this. Okay, well, yeah, this is pretty cool that the maker has used the branches there to frame that windmill. And I like that tangle of branches up in the sky there. And the fact that we have a blank sky. So it's really kind of a graphic piece.
Yeah.
With the tangle of branches.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think it's gone and taken, which would have been a nice picture with the farm and the windmill.
Yeah,
but adding these trees, yeah,
it really makes the image. And I think if you'd had a busy sky, this wouldn't work. You know, you needed the blank sky for the.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
if there had been clouds behind it, I think it would have been way confusing. And that it's not a big, thick, real heavy tree too. I mean, lots of branches. This just really plays in very nicely. Nice surrounding of the right around the
windmill.
Now I can't go back.
And the way those branches are around the windmill plays to the title of grip. It looks like it's going to go reach down and grab the windmill.
Exactly. So I'm trying to get my pen here for it to let me do it. And just kind of this little framing of what the trees are creating, and allows us, even though there's a lot of busyness with all of the sticks in the sky, we keep coming back to that windmill. I think that's very well done. Nice placement of where it is. Nice placement of the horizon. When we talked earlier, we were talking about the key line here is just right there, just close enough to the image itself, so it definitely gives us a little separation without asking for too much attention. So I think it's very well done.
Yeah, the mat looks like it's, it really looks like a matte paper or
there's a little texture in there, isn't there?
Yeah, a little stone even.
Yeah,
I like the mat.
Very cool. Yeah, good tonal range too. I mean, there's a real good representation. We don't have any blown out highlights, and there's very little blacks in there, but there's a lot of nice dark shades, which give it depth, wrapper, and makes those branches look dimensional. So
You know
Nice
what,
work.
you guys talked about the mat and there being some kind of a little texture to it. We didn't talk about that too much tonight. As far as what are your thoughts about mats and overlays and textures on mats for images?
Well, I do that stuff quite a bit, but it's got to be real subtle.
Yeah, it does.
And a lot of it depends on the image too, don't you think? If you've got busy skies and grasses and mountains and stuff, and you have another texture in the mat, I think you're
Right,
too much.
right.
Yeah, it's like wearing checks and stripes.
Yeah, yeah, but that's okay nowadays, Cliff. If you watch how people are dressing, so. and their UGG boots outside in the snow. Anyways, no, I think this definitely calls for a little bit of texture in the mat just to give it that little dimension there. So
Okay, and the reason I'm saying too is, or asking, is that you remember, Jeffy, back in the 80s, it was just, and into the 90s, and well, we're seeing it even now, where we have the presentation, which is a really nice color, but it's just a solid color.
yeah,
Where, you know, and I'm just wondering how many images could benefit if that solid color was broken up. And I don't mean, I'd like to be real cautious about it. You know, not a heavy overlay, not a heavy texture, just something to break up the solid color.
well, I agree definitely. I think it would, and it's funny because when we started really going digital, it was everybody said do a black mat, do a black mat. And so everybody did that. And then when we started going into it and realizing we can do something different, that black mat looks suspicious. It looks, yeah, like it does. Actually,
And a black
white
mat,
white
and a
is more
black mat
accepted
is-
now than black. So
yeah, and a black mat is safe.
yeah, yeah. But we don't play that way.
Nah.
All right, good job. Let's do this. That was our last image. Yes, it was. So let's go back to, let me get out of sharing and just come back to the crew. We got some folks left. That's cool. Thanks for hanging in there. Anybody have any questions out there? Any comments on anything? I mean, you can talk about the images we saw, or questions about some image you're working on, or maybe somebody could tell us what the NBA score is. I don't know. Any thoughts out there? Make sure you turn your mics on if you want to say something. You have a few brave souls left in the audience. I'm just looking at names. Of course, I know everybody's out there, and we have, of the people who are here, I want to say there's really only a couple of you who have entered a couple of times. So it's kind of cool to see the rest of you come in and have interest, and hopefully we can, again, we're here to help. I mean, this isn't just this isn't just a bragging rights show. It's not that at all. I mean, the purpose of us doing this is all three of us have had help through the years with somebody, many other masters, and we're just trying to give that back. And we'd love to see you guys enter. And some of the stuff we've seen tonight is really cool stuff, and I would love to help. If anybody has an image that we've talked about and want to take it further into the next competition, I'm volunteering, so let me know if I can help you in some way, because I think there's some cool stuff out there. We excited Rick so much he just left.
So what's the best way to get updated images to you, or talk about any edits we might want to make?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple different ways we can do it. I'll have people send me like, take your file and just maybe cut it down to like a 4,000 pixels at 200, 300 DPI, because you can email that pretty well, and it's still large enough. Don't send a little tiny thumbnail, because we like to see, that's what's nice about what we're doing here, is we can see a large enough image so we can see the detail and such. So again, if you just take your image and reduce it to maybe 4,000 pixels at 300 DPI, that's usually easy enough to email. Shoot me an email and say, hey, I'd love to have you take a look at this. If it doesn't go, I've got stuff on box.com, or we can do WeTransfer. There's all kinds of ways to get it back, and then we'll just talk about it, and we can do I can look at it and put some notes down and send it back. We can get onto a Zoom call like this and talk about it. I mean, Rick and I are also, if you look at the image critique show, we're also offering services where we're happy to get online with you and look at all your portfolio and talk about different things. And of course, there's some charges for it. It's our business. But yeah, anything like that. So just reach out and say, here's what I want to have happen. We'll figure out how to make that happen. So we got somebody coming into the room right now as we're saying goodbye. But yeah, so John, just if there's something you want one of us to help with, doesn't matter, call one of us. I shouldn't volunteer. Cliff, are you okay with that too?
Sure, of course. As long as I don't have to get up early.
I'm with you, Cliffy.
So what's funny to me about that is there was a guy I used to work for years ago when I first came to Denver, and he always wanted to do landscape stuff. It was a portrait studio. And he would always look at my work and some of my friends and he said, how do you do that? Well, we used to tease him because he wouldn't get out of bed in the morning and he was at dinner I should say happy hour by 4 o'clock. Well, he's missing the light on both ends of the day, but he couldn't figure out how he couldn't do as nice of pictures as my group of friends were doing. I'm like, well, get your ass out of bed, buddy. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah, I can do the sunset end. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, and I always say that, and I think I've mentioned this before, to me, roughing it is when room service ends at 2 a.m.
That's right. That's right.
See, Cliff, I can sit out in the parking lot and hold a cold can of Miller Lite out the window, and Rick will probably, or Bud Light, I'm sorry, Rick will probably come along then, but.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, there are only 2 types of beer that I drink: Bud Light and free.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. Cliff, thanks for jumping in into the hot seat this time. We appreciate all the times you help us out behind the scenes, so to speak, even though you're on camera. But thank you for being our dartboard tonight.
Yeah, sure.
And we absolutely love what you're doing. Can
you hang on for a minute, Cliff?
Sure.
Cliff,
hang on?
Can you hang on for a minute?
Yeah.
Like right now, or after everybody leaves?
After everyone leaves.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
I'll
feel free to email us questions. We're on the 4th Thursday of every month. Watch the website. We're a week early this week for many reasons, but just go back to the 4th Thursday, and we plan on keep doing this. We have another good friend of ours coming in next month, and I just lost his name. What's his name, Rick?
Bob Zettler.
Bob Zettler. Yeah, Bobby's going to come in and be our guest and share his wisdom and his beauty. He sent me some images. It's on the site, guys. Go look at his work. Stellar
I think Mary
stuff.
wanted to say. Mary, did you want to say something? I thought you started to say something.
Oh, I just said thank you.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's important. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
that's important. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Thank all of you for participating and helping Jeff and Cliff and I make this reality and something that we hope is really beneficial to all of you. We've had mentors for us in the past, our dads in particular, but others along the way. And this is just an opportunity for us to share what we've learned. And we say it all the time. We learn, I believe, more than we impart. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to be in this position.
Yeah, well said. It's very true. And then the reason I keep bringing up our site is because there's a lot of services on there, a lot of possibilities, and hopefully a lot of help for all of you. And again, it goes right back to what Rick's saying, is we had dads. We were very fortunate that knew people and had all kinds of resources for us. And we're just trying to hand that back out to everybody. So please take advantage of it. Please take advantage of us. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll put this recording up on the site, and you can go back, and it's all free on the archive page, and you by all means listen to the other weeks. We've got 4 other weeks before us, and we're moving along pretty good. Lots of good information, and thanks again for tuning in. Good night, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you for watching the Image Critique Show with Jeff Johnson and Rick Avalos. Learn more by checking them out at theimagecritiqueshow.com.